Okay, 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve the minutes of February 10th. So moved. It's a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor, Kelsey? That's a yes, Ron's a yes, and Chucky's a yes, and a yes for me. Members' reports, since you're remote, we'll start with Kelsey. Anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Ron?
Oh, I'm good at this point.
And Chucky?
Oh,
And nothing for myself. So we'll dive into the town manager report.
All right, let's see, the top block, probably should have been there, but, your franchise fees, those came in yesterday, that's 20,574 that we received. Pretty much flat over last year, on par with a budget of 20,000. At the last meeting you were here, you should have noticed the pile of orange cones outside the front door. That was from a pickup truck owned by the town, happily running into the drop box that was out there and the railing. So I filed a preliminary report of damage. Anyway, the railing was under $800 tonight. They fixed that over the weekend, and the box was not listed as covered property, so that was moot. The deductible was $1,000, so we withdrew that. So we'll just pay cash for the railing repair. Browntail moth, that's informational. The state's still trying to beef that up for 2024. Pretty much they're on their way out right now, but that's something that's up and down and come to and fro. And they have sent us that website that they encourage people to visit. So that is linked, a live link to the online town manager's report under the minutes of the select board meeting. Your absentee ballots are still available for March 3rd town meeting. That's also linked there to the town meeting portion of the website with information on ordinances, ballots, things like that. The airport building, terminal building, had a sewer freeze up. That was the line from under the building out to the sewer. And the septic itself was frozen, so we called Stanley's out. Yeah, they called Stanley's out. Pretty much it was unavoidable because the top of it wasn't covered. The wind had blown everything off, and we had sub-zero temps, and not great. So they are coming out, hopefully before this week is out, to dig it up, unthaw it, or to thaw it and insulate it and cover it back up. They tell me that will fix it and we don't have to deal with it again. The alternative was to say, no, we don't have a septic there. It's a public building. I didn't want to put a porta potty outside in the middle of winter. So that's where we're at with that project there. Waste management fees, those came in yesterday as well. That's, 103,000, 104,000. That's a low month for them, but it is more than the same month last year. That's up 5.4%. Your AG's opinion or lack thereof regarding the school board director conflict, we did back and forth with SAB 54. And then we went to the AG's office upon mutual agreement. I should be better than this, but the AG is too busy with Washington to serve the people of Norridgewock. And so they said that that's not the role. And so I had a lengthy conversation with them about the clarity of law and how he was serving as a mediator. And they're just declining. They don't believe that that's their role. So needless to say, at this point in time, barring any side moving for further litigation, that's where we sit, is the vote of the school board. So not really where either side wanted to be. We wanted a definitive response. We did not get that. So it may be something that in the next session we'll ask our legislator to consider taking up. But not sure that we'll have any traction there. Unfortunate lack of responsiveness there. The backside is pretty much standard stuff. Your dog licenses, those are due and overdue. Your plates, if you like your number or you have a vanity plate that you want to keep for the new plates, you need to get online and reserve those. We do have paper forms, I think, or we can only do it online. The fee's $25. You have to do that in advance, so they're going to make you take a regular plate. Parking ban is in effect downtown. That does include parking on the rail bed. That is a public way. And so somebody was out grooming the rail bed at 2 o'clock the other morning, and there was a car parked in the middle of the rail bed at Main Street. So park where you are supposed to. Also a reminder, and we'll start hooking because it's now interfering with commercial business and town business. If you are in a lot that has a 2 hour limit on it, you are not permitted to park there overnight. Move your car, please. All you are doing is making it more difficult for our public works crew who has to go back 2, 3, and 4 times to clean those lots up, and you are hurting the local businesses that we are trying to support. So move your cars, put them where they belong, and I apologize if you don't have ample parking for the building that you patronize or live in or own, but that is a part of real estate pricing. Your upcoming meetings are right on regular schedule. For the most part, the TIF committee is gonna push until March, so they won't have a meeting in a week. And the town office will be closed on the 3rd, so that Amy and I can go over for town meeting. Town reports came in, a case of town reports came in late today. Those will be available at the town office tomorrow and hopefully at the stores that we normally put them at for the week.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Discussion action on February 19th, general warrant number 4.
Motion to approve general warrant number 4 in the amount of $235,714.41.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, Kelsey is a yes, Ron is a yes, Chucky is a yes, and a yes from me, so that's everyone. Let's see, number 7 here, discussion action on February 19th, airport warrant number 2.
Make a motion to approve airport warrant number 2 in the amount of $15,211.80.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Tractor gearbox. It's expensive, huh?
Yeah, so that was a rebuild of the gearbox on the front end of the tractor to prepare it for the snow blower, which, thank you.
Which is the one, this is the tractor we just donated?
No, this is the large tractor out to the airport, that's snow removal equipment.
Gotcha.
So I'm just gonna back it up real quick, and that is that we just purchased pretty near $100,000 snow blower for that tractor.
Yes, okay.
And it does not fit. It does not work with our tractor. So we are trying to narrow it down to, is it the high price consultant that is over designed and did this out, or is it the vendor that thought that they could interface with our tractor and they don't? So needless to say, Peter's holding on to a bill just shy of 100,000 for the snow blower itself. And this was an essential repair, but it was one that was required in order to take the snow blower we thought we were gonna get.
So it's not a result of the snowball being put on and it tore out the gearbox.
No, we did this 6 or 8 years ago.
Gotcha.
On the same tractor.
Ripped that PTO clutch out of the front end.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, Kelsey is a yes, Ron, yes, Chucky, yes, and a yes for me. Let's see, number 8, discussion action on February 19th sewer commitment.
Motion to approve the sewer commitment and different number, sure.
Sorry.
16, is that the accurate one? In the amount of $16,906.52.
It's a motion and
Second.
any discussion on the sewer warrant? Seeing none, all those in favor, Kelsey is a yes, Ron's a yes, Chucky is a yes, and a yes for me. Public comment? Anything for public comment? Seeing nothing, we'll move forward to number 10 for the public hearing on proposed ordinance. Amendments to the town of Norridgewock shoreline zoning ordinance.
This is the formally posted public hearing on the proposed ordinance. And nothing's changed since the last meeting that we had. Your red line version and clean copy version is available online through the town meeting section of the website. They're also available in hard copy here at the town office. They'll be available at town meeting on the day of. If you have any questions, this will be voted on in person at the evening session of town meeting.
Need anything else on that? Anything from the,
Any comments from the public?
any comments from the public on this? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And move into number 11, the public hearing on referendum question, shall the town vote and raise and appropriate 48,000 to fund the new community event and engagement coordinator position.
This is the proposed position, draft job description is available online at the same part of the website. It's also available here in hard copy and will be available on the day of voting. This question is prorated appropriation for the position. And it will be considered by secret ballot. It will be on the back side of your candidate ballot. You can vote on this by absentee ballot if you'd like. Those absentee ballots are available.
Okay, anything from the public on this code? Please, Todd.
I gotta say something.
No, you don't.
I can't let the public hearings come and go. You received any interest? Do you expect to have any trouble filling this, or do you have some potential candidates?
I have received a number of inquiries about the position and when it comes through. It's difficult for anybody really to hold applications for this or things like that. But it's a competitive environment for employees, so.
Yeah. I was curious of the prospects of approving it and then having a hard job filling it. Just. I am not. More qualified, either one.
Okay, all right, well, anything else from the public? Seeing nothing. Number 12, public hearing on dangerous building located at 640 Madison Road, map 6, lot 9-1.
All right, so in your packet that was sent out previously, and in your hard copy packet today, you have photos of the subject property located at 640 Madison Road. You can see the recommendations that have been submitted by the code enforcement officer, as well as a copy of the notice that was sent to the property owner. And then your next steps in terms of discussing this and making a determination on the building status. If the board determines that it is a dangerous building, a notice/order will be sent to the owner. Will be filed at the registry of deeds, and there'll be 60 days for corrective action. And so that's the formal process. If it's not resolved or remediated after that, then the town then has the authority to move through and resolve the issue itself, and then assess a special tax against the property. In the same way that we have in the past, it's a supplemental bill that will then be in line for connecting and then subject to real estate lien. So you have that information. Mr. Lewis is the property owner. He's gracious enough to come back again tonight after the last notice went out. And so that's my overview. Comments, questions appropriate at this time, and the board can deliberate amongst itself in the next item.
Okay. Anything immediately from the board on this?
I'd like to comment.
Yeah, please, just go ahead and just announce who you are and just for the public, and then please fire away.
I am the owner of the building, Merle Lewis. The building is 3 miles from town. Actually, it's exactly 3 miles from the bridge. There's no kids around the building. I have a posted sign out there near the road. I have a no trespassing sign on the front and both sides. The back is not down, just the front of the building. Back is no longer hooked to it. I have barricade tape around the 2 sides and the front. Mostly old people live out there. There's only one house across the road. Egan's and LeBron's live just before you get to it. That's probably 1,000 yards, 1,000 meters. Ferris's house is be on the Madison side. It's a ways down the road. There's nobody. There's one house across the road. There's no children in the area. far as dangerous to be in, to children. If any adults are in there, they're in there for no good. I can pick away at it this summer and get it cleaned up. I have, heart disease, I've had 2 heart attacks. I have, Graves' disease. I have thyroid eye disease. Now I got breathing issues, my doctor and an asthma specialist is working on that to see what we can do with it. But that doesn't mean I can't do anything, that's wrong. I can, it just takes a little more time.
Yep, right on. And as far to be in compliance with the ordinance, what is the, as we kind of discussed earlier, is it just the building flat? I mean, is it removing the possibility for entrapment or for this to fall in on someone? Or does it, have to be demolished and removed?
It needs to be fenced on all sides, which is costly, right? Not take a fence, or it needs to be flattened off, and if there's a hole in it, it needs to be filled in.
Okay, so if it was collapsed in, that would get you in compliance, and then at your own pleasure or leisure, you could clean it up. But the hazard is due to the fact that you could get in and it could collapse on you essentially. And I'm not sure on this right here, in this photo, it shows, and I don't know if anybody else can see that, with the well cover. The well cover with it, is that even in our wheelhouse, or is that just under photo? Is that
That's
part?
part of it, it needs to be covered like that. So it would be a replacement cover to that.
What needs to be covered over?
The well here, I've got a picture of the dug well. And I'm assuming that's a 3-foot tile, and a large chunk missing from the cover here. I didn't know if that fell into the purview of our dangerous building, piece, which you're saying does. So initially.
Can I look at that?
Oh, yeah, please. I'm sorry, we don't have a copy for you, but here. That's right there out by the house, or.
I don't know, that's my well. There's a well out there, but I was out there today, I didn't see that.
I mean, I can see the house from the road, but I can tell a well. That's all.
Yeah, the back section you talked about, Mr. Lewis, that's not attached anymore. Is that something, if you want to look through those pictures, is that something there that you can point out? Is it that green section?
Yeah,
The only reason I ask is that because in the report submitted to us, it does say that the foundation that remains to support the remaining part of the structure isn't adequate. And if that's the green section, I can see that looks like the cement block and stuff. I'm just trying to determine, 'cause I haven't been out there myself. This is the first time we've gone through this with, to work on this one.
I believe so, yeah.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can.
That's so funny, you never know where to
Didn't
look.
sound like you, so it was a little off there.
For a minute, I was like, Kelsey was on the table.
If something were to happen at this property, who would be liable? Is Mr. Lewis liable? Or is the town liable?
I'm gonna defer that to Richard.
At this point in time, it's gonna be shared liability, because the document has been presented. And then it's up to the board to, create a mitigation plan or, declare a dangerous building and maybe alter the time for resolution.
So, Mr. Lewis, ultimately, what would you, if you had a crew to be able to help you do it, what would your ultimate goal be for the property, I guess is where I'd start. I mean,
what would,
your ultimate goal for the property to just demolish that
yeah,
and get it cleaned up?
pull it out there, use what lumber I can do it, I wanna rebuild back on
Okay. No,
it. So I can't really get an excavator and a truck in there, that would it's a block foundation that would ruin the foundation.
No. Okay, so, initially you need a ruling as to whether it's a dangerous building from the board.
That's under the next item, but yes.
Okay, all right.
It's gonna be, is it a dangerous building or is it not a dangerous building, and then it's what course of action, is it? I mean, right now, the order for the code enforcement officer is drafted that resolution will be brought about within 60 days.
To make some sort of decision within 60 days, or that it's taken care of.
Well, that's the drafted order that says it's to be cleaned up within 60 days.
Which is. Not really feasible right now, I mean, timing of a year.
Winter time, everything's frozen.
Yeah, so I personally, and I can't speak for the whole board here, I do feel that 60 days would be a little unreasonable right now, just because, again, timing of year. This is your first, this hasn't been on our radar before. This is certainly the first time I've seen you in here for anything like this. And you sound like you've got a plan and you wanna do something with the property anyway, it's not just something that's going to waste or by the wayside. Yeah, I think as long as we can come to some type of agreement of plan and timeline together, I don't think it needs to be within the 60 days.
I kind of agree. That's kind of why I wanted to know what the plan was from him as to, because we've got an active code enforcement officer now that's enforcing
Yeah.
the stuff that we've got, but at the same time, it's new to him and I just assume work with him if we can to try to make that happen, if that's his goal.
So as far as this, do I need to close the public hearing and then move into 13?
Yes.
I mean, is there anything else for the public, have anything to say on this? And do you have anything else you want to add before the board made a ruling? I think you can see where we're gonna rule, that yes, it's a dangerous building, but at the same time, I don't think
Well, that
60
we wanna
days is
work with you on it,
reasonable.
It's not really a danger to anybody, I mean, if it's in town, the kids walk by it every day, going to and from school, or even if they go into church one day a week walking by it. But nobody walks by it, I mean, it's 3 miles from town, and it's not bothering anybody. It's an eyesore, that's the problem with it.
I think it's per code though, correct? It meets the definition per code.
Yeah, I mean, it's a code thing, and the problem is that I think you said adults are to no good if they're in there, right?
Yeah.
But we can't regulate that. And what if they go in there and then they get stuck? Then who else is gonna go in there? Fire department, rescue folks, and things like that. So I think that it's easy to say that it's not in town, maybe more subject to passersby getting in trouble. But the fact remains that dangerous building statute applies everywhere in the city and in the country, to protect folks that don't have the option to go into a building or not.
So, that makes sense or sound reasonable, that that's why it falls under our dangerous building ordinance. We've only, when did we start this, the dangerous building?
No, this is state law.
Oh, it is, okay.
We don't have any dangerous building ordinance locally. We got rid of all our junkyard and stuff that was duplicative or had extra, and we just default to the minimum state statute.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that's what finds it in this predicament, is that ordinance that we've adopted that the state has that defines this building. So if you've got anything else relevant right now, or we'll move on and the board will make a ruling and then we'll come up with an action plan.
All right.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing on the dangerous building, and move into the discussion action on the dangerous building. Findings in order for a building located at 640 Madison Road, lot 691. So do we want an initial motion
So
that we
to
find
motion
it
to-
a dangerous building?
So I would say you need a motion, and we'll frame it in the affirmative, and if you wanna vote it down, but a motion to declare it a dangerous building. Those in favor, those opposed, if that passes, then I think really what's gonna be an issue in this notice of decision order is that timeline. Complying with statute, which says We're going to dispose of all the materials and contents in and around the structure, demolish the structure, and then properly cap the well. And it's the time frame for resolution there. So it's drafted at 60 days, you talk 100 days, that gets you to June 30th, things like that.
Is there anything set in statute that it has to be within, or as long as we have a resolution?
Correct.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
Yeah, a motion to declare that piece of property, a dangerous building per the statute.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on whether it's a dangerous building? Seeing nothing, all those in favor, we'll start with Kelsey. That's a yes. Ron, yes. Chucky is a yes, and it's a yes for me as well. All right, so with that determination, it really, everything sounds good except for the 60 days, right? I don't really find that reasonable.
No, I don't either.
It's really, what does the board think is reasonable? I apologize if I get your name, because I'm horrible with that.
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lewis sounds more than willing, to work with us as well as has a plan. Well, what do you feel is a reasonable time to actually, and does it have to be cleaned up, or does it actually just have to be flat and the well cap?
The order as it's presented to demolish the structure, dispose of the materials and contents in and around, and properly cap the well.
What is that again?
To demolish the structure, dispose of all materials and contents in and around the structure, and properly cap the well.
So for that, it would be the building flat, all that cleaned up, and the well with a new cap. Doesn't have to be a cement cap, it can be a plywood cap, or a wood cap, really any cap, as long as it's covered.
Cover on the web.
Yes, yeah. What's a reasonable time for you, do you think, to make all that happen? To collapse the structure, clean it up, and cap the well? Is that doable this summer for you?
Possibly, I don't know.
Do we have any groups in town that volunteer to help with stuff, anything like that, or? Can we do something like that, help folks out?
I'm wondering if out of Farmington, there's the mission at the Eastward, and they're not really religious anymore, but they do a lot of like home repairs and stuff, and I'm kind of wondering if that's something they would do. I could find out. But yeah, I had the same thought.
There may be some options there as far
Yeah,
as help. Is that something that you would be interested in?
I didn't hear what she said, I'm sorry, I got a hearing problem all the time.
I'm deaf myself too, so I get it. Kelsey was saying that there may be some organizations that volunteer to actually help clean up maybe the surrounding, or maybe even take down the building at no cost to you, or a low cost. I don't want to misspeak. Is that something that you would be interested in, or would like information on?
Maybe.
Okay, so that could be an idea. There's 100 days puts us when?
About the end of June.
Yeah, I'd like it to be at least double 120, if not more, to give
Yeah, I
fall.
was thinking about the end of summer, fall, I mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking that somewhere September 30, something like that, that way.
First day of fall or something, I was thinking maybe something like that.
I'm almost, yeah.
That
Don't see project.
progress.
Yes. The owner just told you that we might not want free or low cost help.
Yep.
So if you don't see progress within the order period, the respect's probably gonna be back here saying I need more time. So if we wait until fall to set that deadline, then we're gonna be right back here. And it's
So
gonna
if
be-
we set a date, and we see some progress, we can extend that, and that's not an issue.
Right, you'll have to come back in, demonstrate the progress that's made. But, you want a realistic timeline that if you don't see progress, you're comfortable going to court.
What do you think would be a reasonable time that you would maybe start taking stuff down, or maybe just collapse the building or the well cover? Are you think 100 days from now, do you think you'd be started doing something?
Oh, yeah.
120 days brings you to Friday, June 20th.
No, good.
June 20th.
June 20th, something started, that when code comes, he can see clear progress, and we can
And then we can reconvene, and if the progress is being made, then we can extend that.
All right, yeah,
Okay, or, you want to, need a motion on that?
Yeah, if I find it. It would be a motion to approve and sign the notice of decision setting the order completion date at 120 days.
So moved.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on what we've arrived at? Seeing none, we will vote. Kelsey is a yes. Ron is a yes. Chucky is a yes, and that's a yes for me. So thank you for your
Yes,
willingness to
Mr.
work with us with our ordinance that impacts your property. So thank you, and hopefully that works out. You get something started, and maybe Kelsey can line up some information that Richard will forward to you about some organizations that may be willing to help you with the project.
yeah, I don't know about that.
That I totally understand. Yeah, oh, totally.
Yeah, I don't want anybody getting hurt.
I 100% understand. I'll have Richard forward the information, and if it's something you choose to do, that's fine, and if not, that's fine as well. Just that way it's available, and that way the board will actually know what we have available for this too, for other situations. So again, thank you.
Now, what did you say, 120 days?
120 days.
I will get you in writing in the morning once because I have to put who spoke just now. And then I have to put what they spoke about, and it has to be included in that. But we will get you a copy of this tomorrow.
Again, thank you so much for coming down and working with us on this. With that all wrapped up, we will dive into number 14 here, discussion action on airport advisory committee recommendations. All right, so.
Kelsey, is that working?
She go.
No,
Oh, because I can't see over there. All right, so anyway, we're gonna go through some airport finances here, to show you where we are roughly, between. As of 12/31/24, the unfortunate thing about the airport is that they're losing money again. Not much of a surprise, quite candidly, we haven't made adjustments, but costs have gone up. And so where we are here is, these are revenues that came in 2024, they're non-audited numbers, but they're fairly accurate. We're pulling in about $46,000 a year in hangar lease fees, that's $60 per standard hangar. And that's across 64 hangar equivalents, because we do have a couple double hangars out there. Your aircraft excise tax, that's excise tax paid on airplanes. Runway rental is largely state police, forest service, those type of entities, the state of Maine, they come in and they pay. Right now it's $350 a day to rent the runway, and then your periodic tie downs is relatively negligible. And then we received a little over $14,000 last year in real estate tax. So the next few slides are just gonna put some historic perspective into where we are today. You can see aircraft excise is up and down and around. One of the things that I have pledged to the plane owners at the airport is that if their aircraft is based here and subject to excise tax, then they better be paying it. And if they do not pay it, and I'm aware of that aircraft, we will be sending them a personal property tax bill at a much higher mill rate than what they would be paying to register their aircraft. These are the very people that benefit more than the average from the use of the airport, and so it's only right and fair that they are contributing their fair share. We're not here for free rides, we understand the value of the airport, but there's no reason to not pay your excise tax. It's like not registering a motor vehicle and coming in and complaining about the condition of the roads in town. It doesn't give you.
Maybe have that aircraft repo there on TV.
Right.
I'll send you out to.
Yeah. So fuel sales was a good revenue generator for the airport. That took a hit at COVID. And then that also took a hit when the FAA prohibited us from marketing the fact that we had non-ethanol fuel at the airport. Couple that with non-ethanol on Main Street, I'll say, where people, it's now more readily available at local gas stations. People aren't going that extra mile 4 months to the airport. So that has slumped. We're starting to see traffic through the airport pick back up a little bit. We've remained very competitive in our pricing strategy. And so we're starting to see units uptick at the very least. Fuel sales, the hiccup in the numbers in 2023, but I'm looking at, I think, delivery and consumption overlaps there, so that's what squished that margin there. But you can see that we're trending relatively upward again on the 100 low lead, and then your non-ethanol is staying pretty stagnant there. So you can see the drop that was the anomaly in 2023, and now we're moving back up to 2024. With things like your 100 low lead, we did squeeze that a little bit because the cost was so high on it. If we had priced at our regular margin, we wouldn't have sold any. So we couldn't afford to do that. Your payroll expense, you see that across the board. This is the employee up to the airport, but a small percentage of bookkeeper's expense. But that's, you know, a constant upward trend. And then we look at the net operating position, and this is less the town support. The town contributes about $22,000 a year in the form of reserve or an unclassified contribution. And so that we try to back that out, knowing that the airport should be self-sustaining in terms of its day-to-day operation. So we're driving losses here, not gains. Back when I first arrived, we had done pretty well. Mind you, we've taken things out, and we've excluded grants, which are, you know, negligible and throw off our numbers. We took out the wood harvesting, which was a large inflow of cash to the airport, but, you know, after this many years of losses, it's gone. And so what we're up against is 2023 was a really terrible year. And 24 was terrible, but not as bad as the year before. So we're in a situation where we're down and down and down, and I mean, we did uptick in 2024, so positive, but not where we really want to be. And so we convened the airport advisory last night, actually. We had a lengthy meeting, and we talked about numbers and where do we go, what do we do, and how do we make the airport something that could self-subsist largely. Not wholly, we all realize that expenses like me or the front office staff, Peter's time isn't probably properly accrued, public works support's out there. It happens that way, and it's an investment in the community, but we needed a good faith effort from the pilots and the hangar owners as to how we move forward. So these are the proposals up on the board, just kind of in a similar format to what you had in front of you. And pretty much what I had tasked them with was covering an approximate $35,000 operational gap. And so I framed it for them in 6 different proposals. The first was increase hangar fees monthly, which are currently $60. Your runway rentals are $350. Digress real quick. We pay hangar owners pay $60 a month is the lease for the hangar, the land that they sit on, plus 20 feet around, I think, is their lease, and so they pay $60 a month. And then the runway rental is currently at $350, and then behind this spreadsheet, you've got formulas naturally, and what we're assuming is 64 equivalent hangars being built, and I averaged out runway rentals, and that's about 35 days a year that we rent the runway. So I use those numbers to then pull out the numbers for increases. And if we do things equitably, you add 40, 50, or 60%, that's proposals 1, 2, and 3 respectively. You can see where we're driving gains. So if you increase those both 40%, we're still looking at a deficit of almost $12,000. That's a 40% increase.
Without town help, right?
Right. You take the 50% increase, and they're still looking at almost 6,000. You put a 60% increase in, and they get to break even. For the sake of round numbers, I took that $96 a month on hangar fees and the $595 on runway rental, rounded it up, and that turns into your proposal 5, which is $100 a month for hangars and $600 a day for runway rental. That represents 67% increase for hangar owners 71% increase on your runway rentals, and that's the last time I'm gonna say that. It is a tough pill to swallow all at once. The last time that, we increased rates was in 2023. So we did not do due diligence by ignoring this for an extra year when inflation remained rampant. And so there was a lot of discussion last night about, do we do this in a two-step? Do we do it in one big bite? And the consensus of the Airport Advisory Committee, the unanimous consensus after about an hour, was do it and get it over with. And so they have recommended that proposal 5, increase the hangar monthly fee to $100, increase the runway rental to $600 per day. And that should cover your operational gap. They'd like to make that effective July 1st to allow for proper notice, but also, you remember the last time we talked about this, there were concerns about the state and the state's fiscal year. And that aligns with that. I'd like to say that there's an emergent issue here, but it's gone on, as you can see previously, for too long. And it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. The other thing is that when a new owner signs a lease, they pay $75, so it's technically $15 each year for the first 5 years. They recommend adjusting new leases to say it's just $150 one time upfront, a lease initiation fee, if you will. So that is a very aggressive approach. We had conversations about municipal contributions, area municipalities that benefit from this, the life flight and things like that. And so what I've committed to them is I will pull together a document this summer that come September, we can distribute it to municipalities around us with a request for support. I candidly, Todd just chuckled.
Yeah, I am.
That's that's very likely what we're going to hear.
Your commercials, like we say.
We honestly need to have a discussion with them about an airport that provides you and Lifelight the ability to get a fixed wing aircraft out. And that's something nobody else in our area can do unless you want to get carted to Waterville, which I guess you could. But that's the big benefit of it. And so maybe as opposed to these municipalities giving the Lifelight Foundation or Lifelight of Maine the money that they're giving them, maybe it would be better served by giving it to the airport. You know, the airport's not sitting on any money, and Lifelight of Maine is sitting on tens of millions of dollars in investments and endowment. So we're gonna work on that, we're gonna massage that, and that's my commitment to them, because they talk about other revenue streams. And they also believe that by them stepping up to this extent, that they would be hopeful that the town of Norridgewock would increase their contribution or consider increasing their contribution in 2026. The number that the town contributes to the airport in our regular budget is not changed in at least a dozen years. So,
Airports are not.
Potential other dates here. I mean, if you don't want to park your plane here, where are you taking it? Waterville, and what's Waterville charging for their hangars?
so you can't go apples to apples. It's the
I'm
one
sure
thing that
not.
we've learned, because the structure of everything is different. Very few places, very few people own their hangars. The airport owns the hangars and then they lease the whole hangar with them. So it's difficult to get that. There are a few pilot-owned hangars in Waterville. It's just very expensive.
So what does Waterville do? They're all leased, I mean.
Correct. There are a
what's-
handful
What's the
of,
lease on them? What do you, is it you sent a yearly lease on it? And
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know, okay.
We got into this last night and it was, the pilots were like, you can't, there's no comparison to any other airport. The way that Pittsfield manages is different than the way Waterville does. And we're just unique that we've got 57 hangars out there.
You really don't get, yeah.
And because everybody owns them, that monthly fee is the land underneath it.
All right, and then, really our only rental, right, is the state police. If they're not coming here, where are they going?
So there was that discussion. Waterville is offering some sort of abbreviated EVOC, it seems.
The one that Waterville does currently. Yeah, that's a low speed. It's a
Correct.
totally different setup.
They put them in a very small section of the airport. Um. We don't believe that, somebody will be able to provide an alternate venue for this price, just the same.
I mean, I'm personally, I'm comfortable with the pricing. I was just curious as to,
That's
I always wanna be, competitive, right? I wanna be, but there, I don't wanna be the most expensive, but I don't wanna be the cheapest.
Doesn't
either.
water, the city of Waterville subsidize the hell, most of the airports are not profitable, right? I mean,
Correct.
yeah, I mean, that's the way, kind of the way.
The goal of the Norridgewock Airport is to break even.
Yeah.
And stay at break even. I mean, it was a painful meeting last night. It was on all sides. Because nobody wants to pay any more than they have to.
Of course not.
But, you know, the airport does benefit the community. And it benefits pilots, it benefits pilots from Norridgewock, but pilots from across the region. And is it right and fair that the town of Norridgewock, just because it's located here, have to be the whole subsidy
But I mean-
for that? And I get that, and so, and the pilots share in that.
Oh, yeah, cause you know, they put millions of dollars out there just to see it go down the shit chute too, I mean.
And I would love to be able to do something with
Too bad it couldn't
fixed
be
wing
different.
or larger aircraft, if that's. Especially, I would like to be able to provide something extra for Lifeline if they were gonna contribute other than just using it, you know, you hate to ask them, but I get it.
So Lifeline, it's unique, I mean, you look at their, I think it's Form 990, which is their federal nonprofit filings, and, you know, there's $20-30 million that they set up. They hold it two separate entities, but they come and install technology at the airport to benefit them, and then we pay the annual maintenance on it.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean, it's
something.
great organized, don't I mean, they're fantastic, I mean, they're a necessity, so I get it, but I get what you're saying as well, I would love to entertain if there were improvements we could make, I mean, because I think at this point, we're committed to the airport, and if you're not growing, you're stagnant.
Too bad something
Here
like
we've been stagnant,
FedEx or UPS or something like that.
anything,
Get something,
So.
but it's not gone to obviously.
Right, you talk about growth. It's very limited because of the layout of the airport, and if you want growth, you're gonna have to put in millions of dollars worth of growth. And it just, you can't sell it, and I don't think you could get FAA to sign on, even if you could sell it. So that's difficult. I think maybe going back to municipal revenues. Is the town of Skowhegan was the beneficiary of how many hundreds of millions of dollars in investment from New Balance? How did those New Balance executives get here every time they came in to have a meeting about the project or to check up on the project?
right,
To come in and meet with this one and that one, they come to the Norridgewock Airport. That Norridgewock Airport is a big benefit to Skowhegan. Savvy. Those people come in, they get picked up and they go out. If it's $1,000 a year, it's $1,000 a year.
right, yeah, anything is better than nothing. Yeah, I like it, I mean, I support their proposal totally, does anybody have do you need an official motion on this?
It would be to accept the recommendation and to implement the fees effective July 1st.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
the motion and a second, motion and a second, any discussion on this? Nico, seeing none, all those in favor, Kelsey is a yes, Ron is a yes, Chucky's a yes, and a yes from me. And thank you to the Airport Advisory Committee for looking at that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sure it wasn't easy, Tom.
I don't want.
Sure not, sure not.
Off on the barrel monkey. Oh, that's not still on.
All right, number 15 here, discussion action on CD request for proposal.
This went out in draft form for you last week, it's in your packet again tonight in the same state. What we need to do is just go back through and add dates in. We have become complacent, which is fine, right, with our neighbors, Skowhegan Savings Bank, in terms of the millions of dollars that we just had in CDs and we rolled, and we re-roll, and they come and they give us the rates necessarily that are posted, and when you've got $2 or $3 million sitting in the bank, that's just sitting in the bank, it, you know, it would be nice if maybe we got a little premium. And it's just because, and I know that rates are difficult, but, I think we owe it to the taxpayers to look at this, and we've done it when negotiations were difficult, and we moved $1 million to Franklin. As a gesture of thanks for the community support, but because they came in and undercut them on a rate. I think it'll be difficult because if you wanna do business with the bank that's based, not based here, but located here. But, you know, when you start talking about this amount of money and 0.5%, even on a short-term note, it adds up. So what's it worth? And so I've got it drafted right now as 4 CDs of $500,000. As opposed to $1 million and $1 million or 2 million. And so this would, if you like it and you wanna move with it, we would issue it the middle of May. And then those would come in, and on June 18th, we would review, which is the second meeting in June, we would review rates and award it the next day for investment. Because you have only a short window to issue an award because of rates, and the longer you hold it open, greater disadvantage you're at, so. I don't know what your thoughts are, if you're amicable to the idea, you can always say no, thank you. Again,
I'm more than comfortable with it, and I think it's a good idea. The last thing you wanna do is get complacent, and sure, I love Scout Savings, but if it's not the one, it's not the one. I mean, it is the bank right next door. You wanna use it, right? I mean, it's literally, you can look at it. But yeah, I totally agree.
You know,
So, you want a motion?
So with that, if the proposals come in, we just taking the highest one, or is there an opportunity to say to them, hey, this is what this bank's given us, any negotiating with that?
So
To try to keep business with both, or would it just be,
there's extra, beyond these 2 $500,000 CDs, there's additional funds. And this also opens the door that if you wanna bulk it.
Yep.
Offer different term or whatever, that they can propose that to us. Candidly, I'm tired of having to negotiate rates, and when I sit there and I'm on the phone with our we have 2 banks, right, it's Franklin and it's Skowhegan. They're both very supportive of our community, and they both want all of our money. And I don't ever feel good about swapping it, but the back and forth just seems. Shady, like, come on now, like, it's just when I get sick and tired of picking up the phone to say, well, can you do better than this? And I don't feel like I should have to do that, I feel like they should come to us with our.
Let's go
the best deal, yeah.
And be done with it. And so candidly, if $1 million walks away to an online bank. To send a difficult message that. Yeah, we're the town of Norridgewock, but we're not dummies.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's what we do for a CD term or something like that.
So what do you have them in now? I mean, you have,
We're in CDs.
yeah, but I mean, you have just them 2 banks or just Franklin?
No, there are $2 or $3 million at. I think there's 2.5 at Skowhegan, and there's 1 at Franklin. And what we did was we put $1 million in and $1 million in, and we've just been taking them and compounding the interest and then reinvesting the interest when we renew the CD.
So them are the 2 only institutions you're dealing with.
Right. Me candidly, I had a bad day and I was sick and tired of negotiating, and we swung $1 million in to Franklin, just like that, because we weren't getting a response from Skowhegan at the time, so we wrote a check to Franklin and, you know. Was what it was.
Keep them on the toes,
Right.
tuned up a little.
You should.
A long way, well.
I mean, they're both, I think, could rep their outfit, I mean.
Yeah.
They're great, like they're active in our community, they support anything that we ask for. The people at each of the branches that we deal with are top notch. So I don't want to move money, I don't think you want to move money. We want the highest and best rate that they can offer us.
You don't want to be dealing with some bank in South Carolina. Or
No, right, I don't wanna have an online bank either, right? Definitely not, but I think.
We are limited by the fact of the volume of our account, the amount of our account, and the fact that we're a governmental entity, and we're excluded from a lot of that stuff. If this is palatable, then it would be a motion to approve and authorize me to put it out.
How much is municipal money insured any more than individual?
They take extra layers of insurance out for us, and we just renewed.
6.5.
Yeah,
What?
we were at 6.5, and I think we're up to 8.5 now. Skowhegan Savings has to pay extra to insure our money, And so last year it was insured for an amount of 6.5 million. This year we just raised it to 8.5.
So your motion so moved.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
So there's a motion and a
Second.
second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, I'll start with Kelsey. So yes, Ron's a yes, Chucky's a yes, and a yes for myself. Thank you, Richard, for doing your due diligence on that. 16 is other business. Does the board have any other other business? Not maybe,
Good.
Richard?
A motion to add discussion action on wastewater treatment facility driveway paving bid award. Please.
So moved.
It's a motion and a
Second.
second. No discussion. All those in favor on this? Kelsey's a yes, Ron's a yes, Chuck is a yes, and I'm a yes.
So this is late breaking and I lost track of the bid timeline, but I got the recommendation from all our associates on this project. You'll remember, we looked at building a garage, we looked at roofing and this and that, and we're looking to deplete the remainder of grant funds that are sitting on the table from USDA. So we said, well, what about the driveway? It's in pretty rough shape, need to get that fixed up. So they came down to look at it and bid it out. And the low bid is A&M Ready Mix Paving Professionals out of Winterport. It's 61,934. In the bottom part of that sheet, you'll see that all of our associates has worked with them before as a subcontractor on utility projects, and they believe that they're confident to be able to complete the work. So this would deplete some of the 126,791 remaining in grant funds, and then they also thought that we could reach out to rural development and see if there was periphery projects along that driveway that could be included as well.
Get it spent for.
Because we scrapped the garage, essentially. Is that where we landed? Or any type of,
They wouldn't let us do what we wanted to do for a garage, and it was gonna get over engineered. We were familiar with that. And then when we sold the pump truck, the need for that extra space became a little less. And then you start talking about, well, do you want utilities into that, and then the cost goes up. And what rural development wanted, it wasn't like we could go and get a kit or a prefab or anything like that. It was gonna be the old full-blown blueprint and everything else. It was gonna be a $500,000 building.
you know, I honestly hate to spend $60,000 to pave. That's crazy. I get it. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I just, wow, for a chunk of road that really, I mean, doesn't get used a lot besides our trucking and out. At least it's
What
not,
else you do with the money, though? I mean, you can't,
right.
you just can't give Lyman and going away for
Give me a raise.
I really feel that is the best. There's not something else down there that this can go to other than paving, but.
So we looked at roofing. Right. We looked at the building,
Just no, there's nothing inside, there's no other something that,
no, not that they will allow us to qualify this for. It sounds awful and that you're wasting money and.
it does.
Correct.
I'm trying to find a way to spend $126,000.
Well, we could have bought a snowblower with it at the airport.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I left that alone, I was too angry.
Who'd you buy a stone blower from?
Kodiak dealer out in Iowa.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Chucky's going on a road trip.
Yeah. No, I mean, if they feel that this is the best route for us to go, I don't. I know we've looked into it and you're confirming that we don't have other uses down there for this money. I mean, at least the 61 is less than the 91.
It's always a bright side, man. It's always a
Right,
bright side.
right. So I mean, I guess I'm comfortable taking a motion on it.
There was no, well. Mhm.
And again, I'm not familiar with the paver, but I mean, if they're willing to vouch for them, then I'm comfortable with it. I mean, they put their bid in, so. And they are paving professionals. So,
So what happens with that money if it just sits in there? Is it gonna be used at a certain time?
They'll plot back,
Okay, what?
take it back.
Oh.
You all get it.
Oh, no, the clawback has been since before. They've been asking for this money back for 12 to 18 months.
With
So
much,
there's no
Hold
tax credit.
on, Todd, please.
Have we looked at, pump station generators? To use up, balance that money?
Rebecca Street?
Does that fall into the
I don't know.
purview of this?
I know that it would be a very nice addition to the system.
We can certainly ask about it. My guess is it's gonna require an environmental assessment.
No, probably.
Well,
I thought you had a generator.
do I save the 126 or do I spend half of it right now and we only have 61 to work with? I would agree that the generator, especially if it was a hard mount versus portable, would make more sense than having beautiful fresh pavement down at the sewer treatment plant.
I'm not
Not the-
suggesting instead of, I was suggesting,
Right, in conjunction, I fear that
you'd have still have
61 might not be
60 grand.
enough to get the generator and have it installed permanently. And I wouldn't wanna have to kick in the extra from somewhere else to make that happen.
The problem with portable generators and we cross paths out there, real bad storms and the fire departments. Can't even find Rebecca Street in the storm, right? And here's Tim out there with a portable generator trying to.
Camp it out.
Basically, that's the unfortunate of that. It would be nice if it was a fixed hard mount
Yeah.
generator like this building has.
I agree, it would kick on automatically, yeah.
Right.
But you need 4 of them, or just 3 of them.
Yeah, what is it, is it three that you have to go and?
Correct, yes.
So it doesn't.
The other
totally
two aren't,
alleviate-
the other two aren't so bad. That one, I spent a lot of time out there.
How big are the generators you have to go to?
30,000.
How
So
big?
Which is mostly
The
Mechanic
one,
Street.
for comparison, the one at the fire station's a 45, so smaller than that, but.
How big a motor in them things?
The 3-phase. 8 horse, the big ones.
So probably doable in that sense. You would,
These days?
right, I don't want to misspeak, but
You put one out there, you'd have to put a fence around it.
Can we,
You'd be screwing with it.
right,
Oh, you need propane
right
in
in
this,
this enclosure.
a lot to it, I'm not trying to throw. a
No,
wrench in the pavement.
I hate to, I don't wanna say waste money, but I don't wanna use it if it's better applied somewhere else, and that certainly is a better application.
table it for a meeting and just try to get some prices?
Use that.
Can we at least get prices on what?
I don't think it can be paving in the next 4 weeks.
Well, no, right.
Just to get some prices
Yeah,
on
yeah, for
those
sure,
generators to
for
see if we're
sure.
even in the ballpark.
Is that, yeah, I agree.
Or if that would be an acceptable use of those.
Yeah, yep,
Sorry,
no,
I appreciate it.
thank you, great, I think that's far better.
Was that a motion?
Motion to table.
Yes.
Is, second on tabling,
Yeah, I guess, I
there's
guess.
a motion a second, any discussion on tabling? All those in favor, Kelsey is a yes, Ron's a yes, Chucky's a yes, and a yes from myself. Thank you, Tom.
So is that one of by father? Is. I guess that.
Do you have anything else? You know anything
Do
here?
you own the
It's your
portable
last
generator
meeting.
now? Or do you go rent?
Oh, yeah,
We own it.
so it's your last meeting, thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry you couldn't be here, but it's nice to have you nonetheless.
Kelsey, if enough of us write you in, will you accept?
No.
I kind of figured.
Someone else's turn. Someone else. Definitely would encourage people to give it a whirl though, and maybe I'll be back at some point after I raise my little guy a little bit.
Well,
Thank you, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you all.
Stuff that you bring to the table.
I'll try to make it to a couple meetings and give you a hard time.
So since we know you want to get back to the kiddo, we'll let you make the final motion.
yeah,
Okay, yay. Well, he's probably sleeping now. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion a second, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Yes from Kelsey, yes from Ron, yes from Chucky, and a yes from me.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah.